Hello and welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. On today's show, we'll hear how Agency 6B is helping small businesses across the Garden State. But first, MAYO Performing Arts Center in Morristown, New Jersey is a staple for art and entertainment. Joining us now to talk about their upcoming programs is its general manager, Ed Kirchdoerffer. Welcome, Ed, to the show.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, I am so excited to have you on here. Morristown is in my backyard, and there's so many great shows happening at MAYO Performing Arts Center, and I'm happy to see that you are back and better than ever after the COVID-19 lockdowns. So let's start with that. What are your upcoming initiatives in 2022?
Well, really, like most arts institutions in New Jersey, we're just trying to get back on a regular schedule, get back to, I want to say, the old normal, where we can be presenting 200 to 250 shows again. You know, it's been a tough slog over the last 2 years, but we feel that we're in a place now that we can return to basically all the types of programs that that people have known us to do prior to the pandemic.
Yeah, and you get A-list stars that come. Can you recap some of the big name acts that have been at MAYO PAC over the years?
Sure. I mean, just this past season, we had Steely Dan for 4 nights, which was a great experience. Collective Soul. We've in the past have had the likes of Tony Bennett and Steve Martin and Martin Short. We get touring Broadway productions like Rent and Beautiful. And really our mission is to bring all the arts into Morristown, everything from top headliners to dance to jazz, really to expose all the arts to everybody right here in this area, in this region.
Yeah, and seeing a show at MAYO PAC, it's so fun because not only is the theater so beautiful, but you're nestled right in the center of bustling Morristown. So you're surrounded by amazing restaurants. Would you like to talk about that, the surrounding community?
Sure. There are so many places to see great arts events throughout the state. And it's really very competitive environment. So we really need to stand out as best as we can. And on our end, we stand out on our lineup and our customer service. But fortunately, we have Morristown as the big drawing card too. It's a beautiful community. It's going through a lot of changes over the last 10 years. It's has a lot of dynamic new restaurants, and it's a great place to visit and have an entire night of entertainment, and very convenient too, with 287 and 78 being it's miles away from us.
Well, one of the most important initiatives, or the most that I know is of importance to you and MAYO PAC, is what you do for arts education. Would you care to share with us your arts education program and how it's benefiting students really all across the Garden State?
Yeah, back in 2005, when we first started this education program, we did two-week sessions, and we weren't even sure if anybody would sign up for it. Now we have hundreds of students per semester. We have a fall, spring, and summer session in our performing arts school, which is targeted for children 5 to 18. Although we do have some programs for adults, and we just started something in preschool. And it's a great program, and it's a great program because it's not the type of program that if your intent is, oh, I want to be a star, I want my kid to be a star. It's not that program for you. It's such a supportive and nurturing environment, and really the skills that are learned, it's less the performance and more these carryover skills that are going to affect you in all parts of your life, whether you're speaking in front of a class or a boardroom or whatever. And it's I think such a unique relationship that our teachers have with the students, that it makes it a very special program. And within that program, we have something called the Miracle Project. And the Miracle Project is something we started about 5 years ago. And it's an evidence-based program for children on the autism spectrum. And it builds communication and social skills through music and dance and storytelling. And we're one of 3 organizations in the country that uses this methodology. It started in Los Angeles in 2005. And it's so amazing to see these kids on the spectrum and other kids with other special needs who, are often, they don't have many friends, people discount what they can do, and they're so bright and they're so creative and so unique and so funny. And to see them on stage performing and to see their parents thrilled to see their kids having fun, it's just something they don't get to see a lot, apparently. It's just, we're just so happy to be able to bring this program to New Jersey, which has one of the highest rates of autism in the country.
It is such a special program. I've been privy to seeing some of those shows, and it's nothing short of unbelievable. But you did mention something that really piqued my interest because it's new, and I didn't know about it until coming into this interview, the preschool. So what's that all about? And when can I sign my daughter up?
I think she needs to be 3 or 4. So I guess you got a couple years to go. It's just something we started it this year, coming out of COVID. We had all these, like everybody else, we had all these great plans in early 2020, and then, they all went on the shelf. So now that we resumed in-person classes about a year or so ago, we decided to expand the program. So we have it's like a preschool storytelling program. So it's really kind of an entry level into doing theater games and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun to see those kids having, doing that stuff. They're really cute and kind of funny to watch. So.
Well, I will see you there in a couple years for sure, because I think that's so awesome that you're doing that. And getting them exposed to the arts at such a young age really will provide such a great foundation for so many.
We're bringing back our family shows next season. So we have a lot of programs for children, starting kind of at an entry level. We always say the entry level into our theater shows are probably about 4, sometimes 3. So we are excited to be welcoming families back into the theater again as well.
I want to circle back to COVID though, because obviously it was a very scary time. And obviously for you were completely shut down for months and months. Talk about that experience and how you pivoted out of that and still kept MAYO PAC afloat.
Well, it's so, when you reflect back on it now, over 2 years, March 11, 2020, we had a sold out show. March 12th, we were like public enemy number 1, indoor entertainment, no way, shut it down. And then boom. So over the next couple of months, we lost 50 shows and several $1 million in sales that had to be refunded or rescheduled. And, while we were trying to figure out, and everybody was trying to figure out what this whole thing was about. But we early on during the pandemic, during those early stages, we sat and thought about what could we do? How could we continue to provide arts experiences for people, because people really need that. And people always look at the theater as a community gathering place. During bad times, it's a place to go where everybody has that collective feel of a shared experience. And that was ripped away from everybody. And that's our business. So pretty early on in the pandemic, we came up with the drive-in concerts. We were the first performing arts center in the state to do a drive-in concert. We did several at Foster Fields, a few miles away from us here. And then when we were allowed to have indoor events with a capacity of 150 people, we seat 1,300 people. So it's a bit of a difference. We were the first performing arts center in New Jersey to stage indoor events, even at that limited capacity. It was odd, to have so few people in a building of our size, but we did it. People were thrilled to experience the arts, and we had about 9 months of that until we were able to then present at full capacity, which was last September. And we said, we were going back to our old ways, but it was a lot harder to do it than how we did in the past, because everybody had to be masked. We have to check vaccination cards. I was out in front of the theater almost for every show. There was a crew of us, and that was our job for 9 months to check vaccination cards. And we wanted to make sure that the theater was as safe and healthy experience for everybody who came in. And we spent well in excess of $100,000 to upgrade our ventilation, to put in touchless fixtures throughout the theater, and to do other things to make that experience safe. And people were so grateful and it was so nice to hear the comments from people as they came in and said, this is the first time I've been out of my house. This is the first time I've gone to a show in 2 years, and to hear the excitement in their voice just made all that extra effort worth it.
Well, that's great news. You mentioned that you upgraded your ventilation system, but you also mentioned that you took a huge hit at the start of COVID with all of the refunds. So how do you raise money for the upkeep of the theater and also all of your amazing programs?
Well, aside from ticket sales, we're a nonprofit. So aside from ticket sales, we do rely on the support of foundations and individuals and government and other entities to help close the gap between ticket sales and what it costs to run our operations. So we do have a membership base of about 1,000 to 1,500 members who support us, and we really appreciate that they're willing to see the value of a performing arts center in their region, and that a healthy one and a strong one is great for the town, and it's great for everybody in that area to have that in their town.
Absolutely. So what could audiences expect to see this spring and summer?
Well, we are putting the finishing touches on our summer. We have a very ambitious summer lineup. So one thing that we're thrilled to be presenting after 3 years is our annual spring production. This is a production that's put on by our education director, Kathy Roy, and it features a cast of about, I think this year it's about 50 young performers, probably about age 8 to early 20s. This year we're doing School of Rock, which we think is very appropriate to do this year because School of Rock is all about the excitement and joy of making music. And we haven't been able to do this in 3 years. So they are working very hard on this. It's going to be 4 performances, June 3rd through 5th. And I know sometimes you hear, oh, it features kids, it's a kid production. It's not. It's a high level quality production. And I'm not saying that because I work here. I'm saying that because I've seen the other productions that we've done, and I am always amazed. I shouldn't say I'm always amazed. I should just expect it at this point, that the quality of the production is so great. And these young performers get the opportunity to work with a professional director and choreographer and costumers and crew, and really have that true theater experience. So that's coming up in June. But the summer we have Lau Lovett and Air Supply, Chris Isaac, the Mavericks, Melissa Etheridge, all on the lineup. You can see it all at mayoarts.org. We're putting the finishing touches on our fall lineup. We'll be announcing that in early June. So we're excited to be presenting a full lineup again for next season as well. And we also have some free stuff in the community, some free concerts within Morristown, featuring some diverse artists. So we want to make sure that people can enjoy the arts in all sorts of forms. So we're excited to be doing that and kicking that off with a salsa night on June 29th, right outside the theater.
My last question is, if people aren't familiar, when you go to a show at MAYO and you hear the voice of God, as it's called in the theater world, that voice is you. It's like I'm kind of revealing Santa Claus's identity here, but it's your voice, and you've been part of the community.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
No. But you have been involved there for so many years. So I want to end our interview with why you are so passionate about the arts community and everything going on at MAYO.
Wow, that's a great question. I've been here. I think I'm closing in on I'm finishing up my 19th year this year, and And it's odd, when I first started, when I was back in the Stone Age, it was a job. And I learned pretty early on, it wasn't a job, it was a calling. And I think so many people who work here feel the same way. We have such a passion for what we do. We love creating great experiences for people and connecting people with the arts. And we just see how it makes an impact in somebody's lives. Sometimes people feel that the arts or entertainment are frivolous things, but just think about everything you do and how creativity affects that. And it's great that in some way, whether it's as the voice of the theater or doing whatever I do as a general manager, that we can make those experiences happen, because it's great to see a parent's face when their kid's on stage in one of our education performances. It's, as I mentioned, when it's just great to see people coming through the door saying, "Oh, I grew up with this band, and I haven't had a chance to see them in 30 years or something." And it's just exciting to be part of that and to know that we make an impact on people's lives.
Well, I know you don't like the spotlight, but I had to turn the spotlight on you for this last question and answer here. So, Ed, thank you so much for joining us. One more time, where can people find out more about MAYOPAC?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on. We appreciate it. Just go to our website, mayoarts.org, and you can sign up for our weekly newsletter. We have an app now. You can download the MPAC app. It just launched a couple weeks ago. We're very excited about that. But yeah, hope to see you here. Say hi if you're here.
Definitely. Ed, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
The Hudson County Chamber of Commerce recently asked Vix Reitano, founder and CEO of Agency 6B, to mentor fellow businesswomen. She is joining us now to talk about these workshops and share some helpful tips for small business owners right here in the Garden State. Welcome to the show, Vix.
Thanks so much. I'm happy to be here.
You have such a cool backstory as to how you got your business started. I know it was a side hustle, which is now your main hustle. So tell us how Agency 6B came to be.
Yeah, so about 7 years ago, I started the company after working as a journalist and as a producer at ABC, NBC, and Telepictures in my early 20s. I took all the skills that I had and kind of put them together and launched a six-figure business in 6 weeks. I was young, I had no kids, no dog, no nothing. I still have no kids, but have a dog, so that makes a difference. I was able to work all around the clock to really make the business work, and it's been a wild ride, but one I will never, ever regret.
How did you turn your business, your side hustle, your part-time job, into a six-figure business in a matter of weeks?
I had a huge network. So one of the things that I think people often forget, and I actually wrote a book about it in 2018 that I self-published. And what I focused on was who in my network can get my name out there and share what I'm doing, right? And to this very day, I still do that quarterly. So most business owners know about networking within a chamber of commerce or BNI or going just to any type of breakfast club or doing it on Zoom now. It's so much more accessible than it's been in the past, thanks to COVID, right? A COVID positive thing. So one of the things that I try to encourage people is there's a bigger network out there, not only your social channels, but also emails, phone numbers, keeping your contact relationship management in a system for yourself that allows you to really get clear on who can actually help, who can't, who knows somebody who can help, and then breaking that up and creating a system is one of the ways that I did it. So I focused on sending emails and just communication, letting people know that I was doing this as a side hustle, and then I quickly picked up some contracts.
But you're only one person. So how did you manage being the marketer, the bookkeeper, and also the entire business side? How did you manage to balance all of that?
I was young. I think that really contributed to it, right? I think I had a lot more stamina back then. To this day, I have a team of 5 now. And during COVID, we grew exponentially. We opened up our first office in 2020, and then we built out the office I'm sitting in right now, which features a production studio as well, in 2021. And we've been here just about a year, so that's exciting. But when I was doing it all myself, I was very focused on, these are the blocks of time that I have to achieve these specific goals. And this is one of the things that I'm actually going to be teaching through this mentorship program with the Hudson Chamber of Commerce is, what's your goal? What are the resources you need to achieve it? And how can you split your brain? So I'm very focused on what I call maintaining your creativity. As a creative person, I was told my whole life, you can't math, but I mathed pretty well. So I made it work for me. And that's what I've taught clients. We've worked with global nonprofits. I did a huge project with the UN. I've done all this cool stuff. The Ad Council is a client of ours. Like, we do a lot of really cool things. And in order to do that, you have to be really clear on kind of where you're going to end up and then take all the steps necessary to get there. But a lot of businesses are still pivoting from the last 2 years. So that's another challenge too.
Definitely. Yes, the story is definitely still being written. It's so easy to see how you caught the attention of the Hudson County Chamber of Commerce, but talk to us about how that relationship came to be and how you're helping its members.
Yeah, thank you for saying that first. But also, it was so funny. They had reached out via email, and I was like, oh, this could be cool. I candidly, and as I've shared with them, I was like, oh, Chamber of Commerce, like, that's kind of old men, right? Like, they're not going to really want a lot of flashiness in there. I have a ton of tattoos that are usually visible. I was like, yeah, that's not my people. But then I went and I was like, okay, well, maybe it could be my people. So now within the chamber in Hudson County and Hoboken, they have a Women of Commerce community. And this program is part of that. And it's a 8-month program. I'm only handling the first 2 months, which is 4 sessions for a small group of mentees that they've already matched with mentors to help them really get clear on the sales and marketing funnel, as well as the digital foundation. So one of the pieces that has always helped me is technology, automation. I taught myself to code years ago, and there's so many, you don't really need to code now. The world has changed in a wonderful way, but there's so many tools out there that can really duplicate you, right? So when you're being the marketer, when you're in the business, or when you're, doing whatever you have to do to fulfill your service, product, or experience, there's a tool that can do the other work for you. So that's one of the big things I'm going to teach in this program.
How special is it for you to be using your story of success in mentoring others?
So special. During COVID, right before COVID, I didn't know if we would survive, right? We didn't have an office at that point. We were still home-based. We were doing a lot of concierge type work, but I figured that there was no other way but to keep going. And I actually grew the business over 843% from year to year in 2020. And that's how we opened our first office. And, we've just kind of continued to go from there. And we still are bootstrapped. So, I have a unique experience, mainly because of the past experiences I've had, and then also the education that I've chosen to kind of partake in as an adult and the personal development. And if I can help one person see themselves as a founder or as somebody capable of starting a business, then, I've changed the world enough in the way that I want to, in the way I set out to.
That's so amazing that you're doing so much good because you've gotten a lot of good. So paying it forward, it's very important. And I also think that a lot of small businesses are going to need that tutelage, because probably during lockdown, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I bet it's been a small business boom. We were all locked in trying to figure out what we all want to do with our lives. And I think probably a lot of good ideas sprung from that. Are you seeing that?
100%. So, obviously my agency team and the agency primarily works with small to medium-sized businesses and enterprise businesses. So we're, kind of on the other end of the spectrum. But I personally have always worked as a consultant and as a coach, for lack of a better word, with small businesses. And one of the things that I am finding is that a lot of people have these side hustles that took off because they were willing to feed their creative soul. And that's really why I started the business. Every service we provide, I can execute and am an expert in, which is very rare in my space. And most people like me, multi-passionate, multi-hyphenate creatives, are often told that they're distracted. So now that we had the chance and the time to consider what we wanted our life to look like, instead of designing our lives around our jobs, right, for a little bit of time, or our careers, I think that many more people fed their creative soul, and they now have an opportunity to make that their full-time hustle too, because we all realized, life is short. You can say that, but then when you go from being able to do everything that you want to do to being locked down in your house, I think it's kind of a reality check. And it's going to change this next generation of people, of careerpreneurs and of entrepreneurs, I believe.
Well, you're in a good position for sure to help so many people. So where can people find out more about these workshops through the Hudson County Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, so the Hudson County Chamber of Commerce website is the best place to go for that. You could also go to agency6b.com. We'll have some material on there as well.
I'm so happy that we came together here today on Your New Jersey, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.